My fellow Americans, good evening. What is the State of the Union? Co-President Donald Trump will tell you the State of the Union is strong, but he's lying, as usual. Unlike Trump, I'm not going to lie to you. The State of the Union is precarious. It's precarious and it's perilous. We are hanging on by a thread. Our democracy is on life support, and co-president Elon Musk wants to pull the plug and call it efficiency. The Trump-Musk agenda represents a clear and present danger to the people of this country. This threat transcends party politics, like 9/11, like the JFK assassination, like Pearl Harbor. I'm speaking to you now not as a Democrat, but as a member of the opposition. I oppose cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. I oppose the suicidal tariff war Donald has begun with our neighbors, Canada and Mexico. I oppose the country descending into dictatorship. I oppose an unelected, unconfirmed South African weirdo who can't be bothered to take off his baseball cap while presiding at a cabinet meeting, being granted godlike powers to cut funding, kill programs, and fire hardworking Americans, all at the whim of some half-ass algorithm slapped together by the teenage boys who comprise the workforce at the illegal shadow operation he calls Doge. I oppose rudeness, cruelty, and lack of respect. Above all, I oppose the New World Order Donald and Elon have created, where they do whatever they can to help that butcher and war criminal, Vladimir Putin. My fellow Americans, this is the greatest country on earth, the greatest country that ever existed, and I refuse to allow the United States of America to turn into a vassal state of the Russian Empire. The occupant of the White House should be the leader of the free world, not some third-rate tyrant's sidekick. Donald has consistently denied his long ties to the Kremlin. Russia, 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 he says mockingly, whenever some new revelation comes out about something involving him and Moscow. He has ridiculed anyone who suggests he is Putin's puppet, as Hillary Clinton did, you may recall, in that debate back in 2016, right around the time the U.S. intelligence community warned that the Kremlin was attempting to interfere in the election on Trump's behalf. Later, in Helsinki, Trump would side with Putin over our intelligence professionals. He claims the Mueller investigation was a witch hunt. Same with Volume 5 of the Senate Intelligence Committee's report on Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Even Marco Rubio, Trump's groveling Secretary of State, signed off on that, admitting the Trump-Russia relationship. It wasn't a witch hunt, you see. Donald does have lots of ties to the Kremlin, and as he made abundantly clear in Friday's Oval Office debacle, he is indeed Putin's puppet. Putin's puppet. That sounds like the sort of insult Donald likes to hurl at his opponents. But I don't mean it as an insult. I mean it as a statement of fact. Trump has thrown in with Putin. He's taken up Moscow's position regarding the invasion of Ukraine. He's parroting Kremlin talking points about President Zelensky. You don't have to believe me. You can look it up yourself. This, I think, is why so many people were so upset about the abhorrent way Donald and JD behaved at that meeting. People know that's not how American leaders are supposed to act. On Friday, Donald told President Zelensky that he didn't have the cards to play. When he said that, he put his own cards on the table. And now, incredibly, the United States of America is overtly, eagerly sucking up to Moscow. Why? So co-president Elon Musk and the other new American oligarchs can make even more money by stealing it from you and me. Putin regards the United States as an enemy of Russia, as he should, because he's certainly our enemy, even if a lot of Americans haven't quite realized it. We are now finding out what it means when the president and co-president are Putin's puppets. Donald and Elon are charting the course the Kremlin wants for America. They want us broke, they want us sick, they want us stupid, They want us fighting each other, and they want us to leave the rest of the world alone. Over the first 2 months of his second term, Donald and co-president Musk have worked hard to give their whoremaster Vladimir Putin what he wants. So has Speaker Johnson, most of the Republicans in Congress, and the entire Trump cabinet. Let me explain what that means in real terms. They want us broke. That means they want a recession, a depression, economic tumult. They want mass unemployment. They want the stock market to collapse. They want us to go broke, struggling to pay our bills. Have you read the contents of the austerity budget Speaker Johnson wants to pass? Trump and Musk will cut $2 trillion from things like Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, and other social welfare programs that Americans of all political persuasions depend on. This will be to pay for tax cuts, which aren't really tax cuts because the American oligarch class doesn't pay taxes like you and I do. This is going to be mass theft on the grandest scale possible. This is stealing. You've heard of robbing Peter to pay Paul? This is robbing grandma to pay Elon. The result of this will be financial hardship for most Americans, just what Putin wants. They want us sick. There is a measles epidemic now in Texas. It's spreading. This is the result of a massive, decades-old Kremlin disinformation campaign around vaccines. RFK Jr., who's done more to push this Kremlin lie than any other person on earth, is now in charge of our national health system. He's anti-vax. You know who isn't anti-vax? Putin. Putin and Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox News and the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal, love their vaccines. Rupert was one of the first people on earth to get the COVID vaccine. They know vaccines work, but they want you to think they don't. RFK also wants to cut funding for cancer research and pandemic preparedness. He wants to get rid of SSRIs, which are incredible drugs that help millions of Americans who struggle with their mental health. Why? Because RFK's job is to make us all sick, which is what Putin wants. They want us stupid. Donald put the Department of Education in the hands of the head of a professional wrestling organization. Let me say that again. Donald put the Department of Education in the hands of the head of a professional wrestling organization. And she's going to cut funding, if not kill the department entirely. They say they want to empower the states to decide how our children are being educated, but that's just the cover story. All this will do is make our schools exponentially worse, which is what Putin wants. It doesn't help Russia if Americans are inventing things and bringing new technology to the world. They want us fighting each other, and they want us isolated from the rest of the world. Pete Hegseth, the drunken Fox News host, who is somehow our Secretary of Defense, ordered Cyber Command to stand down its defenses against Russia. Why would he do that if not to please Putin? Tulsi Gabbard ordered mass firings at the NSA, our largest and most important intelligence gathering agency. Why would she do that if not to please Putin? J.D. Vance, the pompous imbecile who's a heartbeat away from the presidency, is on an anti-diplomacy tour insulting all of our longtime allies, the leaders of Western democracies. Why would he do that if not to please Putin? This is what it looks like when a Kremlin puppet dictator is in the White House. This is why Hillary Clinton and James Comey and James Clapper and Christopher Steele and Pete Strzok and Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi and Bob Mueller and Jack Smith work so hard to expose Donald Trump for what he is. The message failed. The warning was ignored. And what is happening now, right now, is the result. The chaos, the cruelty, the ignorance, the rudeness, the lack of fundamental human decency, the fear and dread. That is the result. We have Putin puppets in charge of our country. We are being led by full-on traitors. Donald Trump and Elon Musk, J.D. Vance and Mike Johnson. None of those people care about you or your family. If they did, they would occasionally do something to help you. None of them care about what's good for the United States. If they did, they wouldn't be trying to burn it down. And none of them care about democracy. If they did, they would not be establishing a Trump-Musk dictatorship modeled on the philosophy of the Unabomber. I'm not kidding. Read the Unabomber Manifesto. Maybe you think I'm crazy. Maybe you don't believe me. Maybe you think I'm just trying to score cheap political points. Well, sooner or later, sooner probably, it will become obvious to even the most zealous Trump supporter. Change is coming, my friends. And unless you're one of the new oligarchs, you're not going to like it. Ignore me at your peril. 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 The state of the union is perilous, and we must recognize the threat and oppose it with every fiber of our beings and with every means at our disposal. If we don't, we will dishonor the memory of Abraham Lincoln. Because if we don't, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall indeed perish from the earth. God bless you, and God save America.